Mind the culture.
Mind your
Culture
culture.
in
My
your
culture.
mind.
Culture in
Culture
mind.
and mind.
This is the podcast for the culture.
Welcome to another episode of Mind Culture Podcast. Today we have Arne Mannott, the director, the artist, and the curator of Circus in Vienna. He recently co-created a festival On the Edge in WUK Performing Arts, and today I will speak with him. This podcast takes place in the wonderful Ankersaal, in the old bread factory in Vienna. This is the new cultural center, and this is the biggest space for performing in this area. And this performance space is available for rent if you're interested. They are very happy to support us, and we are very happy to work with them. Today is a little bit cold, so we're wearing jackets, but let's say that puts us in a nice Christmas vibration. This podcast is possible thanks to BMKOS Austria, as well as is part of Viral Vision's European project Erasmus+. So let's begin. Hi Arne,
Hello.
big pleasure you made it.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me, circus, what drives a person to do circus?
Ooh.
What drives you to do circus?
hmm I mean, I started with circus. Like, I didn't start with dance or theater. I started with circus, and I think for me it was the passion or the question how to do tricks not everyone can do. Like, I specialized in juggling and in acrobatics, and I wanted to learn tricks. Actually, that was my first intention to do circus.
So doing fun things with your body.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really kind of a nerd in the beginning. Like, I was training all day to be able to juggle 5 balls or to make a handstand.
And was it worth it?
Absolutely. It was a nice time, and I really enjoyed it. And I still like to juggle or to do acrobatics, but for sure now it shifted a little bit. And in the last years, I was working or combining the circus techniques with other art forms.
Right. So circus is something fun to do with the body. Can you? So look at me. I'm coming from the world of dance, so I'm a very, how to say, a little bit ignorant about circus. I've seen circus. I love circus. I have a lot of friends that do it, but I'm kind of struggle still to grasp what is the essence of the art form. And I'm wondering, like, so you say to learn tricks. So that's a perspective of a person who wants to do circus. But I wonder if there is a perspective of a person who wants to enjoy just looking at circus. And I'm wondering, what would you say is at the core of circus for you?
Okay, yeah, big question. Actually, I'm thinking a lot about this right now, and I don't have like a fixed answer. But for me, I'm still like I said before, I'm still really curious about the old techniques and what can these techniques tell besides of the pure technique, besides of the pure trick. I mean, like I said, I wanted to learn to juggle 5 balls, but in the end, everyone can do it. It's like it's a technique, so you can learn it if you want to. So then there was the question, what else can I tell with this technique? And for me now, the core of circus is let's say, rethinking these techniques, like using the techniques to tell a story.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, how long does it take to learn to juggle 5 balls? If I wanted to start today and never juggled anything, how long do you think? How many hours or how many years will I need to spend on it?
It really depends. Some people need like to learn juggle with 3 balls, they need 2 weeks. Others need like 3 months. But normally learning to juggle with 5 balls, I think it takes a year, 2 years.
Okay. Wow. does it matter if you start young or if you start old to learn those things?
I think like with all this body art, it's always good to start very young, no? Like in dance. But in the end, like for me now, circus is not so much about the trick anymore, or about the virtuosity, or about the biggest entertainment. I think for everyone, it's nice and easy to start with circus in whatever age.
Mm-hmm. So there is this aspect that like there is a certain version of circus that anyone could learn, like a hobby circus, or like I know there are people that are playing with fire, for example,
Yes.
fire dancing,
Yes,
or
yes.
fire breathing, or
Yeah, or if you take
or
this
just juggling.
all this aerial scene, which is growing a lot right now in the amateur scene, you can find like I don't know a hundred of aerial courses in Vienna. You can go there in the evening, just like to a dance class or to yoga. It's really a big hype.
So like doing on the cloth, basically hanging on the cloth,
Yeah,
and then just doing different positions and
Yes,
transitions and
yes,
falls.
yes.
And also probably I imagine like slackline is another one. Partner acrobatic is another one that is also kind of mainstream right now.
Yeah, it is now like this. How do you say this? Aerial yoga is very common. But it came from the acrobatics. So normally it's a form of duo acrobatic.
And so you see that the circus in the sphere of accessibility, and like I would say like probably if someone does circus for a hobby, that this person will still come to see a performance how the professionals do it. So it's a kind of great transition towards like the public development here, and like how it kind of elevates, it popularizes the art, and also kind of brings it to the consciousness of people. Could you tell me a little bit, maybe, because I'm still like, let's say I know the origins of dance, I know the dance history in a way, but I never know the circus history. So maybe you could tell me a little bit where this idea of circus come from, and maybe how it came to Austria.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are different strings in the history of circus. I mean, one is the old circus, like in the Romanian Empire, but I think the more important one is the one which developed in the 18th century in Great Britain. There have been like some military horse riders who have been trying to do some tricks on the horseback, and then they developed shows, performances, and that was also the origin of this manege, the horse riding manege. And out of this, the circus, like we know it or we knew it, like this traditional circus with the tent and with the manege developed. And yeah, for many decades and centuries, this circus was touring. No, these companies, these family circuses, touring with their own tents, with their own animals, with their own big company. They have been touring, and sure, now the circus is transforming a lot. Let's say we still have these family circuses, not so much, but you still have it. And you have this big company or this big entertainment business like Cirque du Soleil, which a lot of people know. And then today you have this more, let's say, experimental and contemporary side of circus, which is now, which you now can see in all these performance venues like dance or like performance art.
So this is like the present state of circus.
Yes.
So there is let's say the show, there are the touring companies, and there are the experimental / contemporary versions of circus. Could you tell me a little bit more about this? Because I know that, of course, dance is a similar thing. There is more, let's say, traditional more ballet-based dance. There are the modern dance companies, which are also kind of slightly traditional. There are pair dances. There are like all kinds of social dances. But there's also like this very edgy, very kind of crazy performative string where people try to, let's say like this, try to take the principles of dance and kind of deconstruct them in a postmodern way. So I'm wondering how it is in Circus. How do you do this?
I mean, in general, I think this turning point the dance had, like, I'm not sure, but I think it was beginning of the 20th century, or
Well, it depends which turning
Okay,
point.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
there are several turning points, I think, in dance. So there is for sure the 1930s with Isadora Duncan and like the
Yeah.
first breaking out of the classical form.
Yeah.
And then from there, immediately there was like this whole modern dance revolution with Limon, Cunningham, and I don't know, what's the name?
Yeah.
Now the Hexentants from Mary Wigman, for example, in Germany,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
Laban.
yeah.
So all these innovators in the dance field, but they still like followed the modernist,
Yeah.
how to call it, the modernist approach to things. So like the beauty of the body, the symmetry, the athleticism, and so on. And then in the 60s there is another revolution, of course, with the hippie movement, with like the postmodernism, like the release technique, and basically new ways of performing with Judson Church, Trisha Brown, and so on. And this somehow continues to this very day. And I think nowadays we might be experiencing another turning point where people start to integrate like the urban dance influences and take it a little bit more together with this postmodern but approach, but like bring it back to the physicality kind of thing. So I think that will be like the new turning point, but there's at least two official turning points in dance. But I wonder how it is in Circus.
I only just always remember this the sentence by Duncan, who said like we are only doing stupid tricks here, like doing ballet, but we have to tell something, no? Something like this, she said. I'm not sure how the sentence was in detail. And Circus was like in the 80s, the artists recognized like, okay, we are just doing tricks. It's everything we want to do. So let's think about it. Let's rethink maybe our art form. And this is still going on right now a lot. And I think the big difference is like in dance and the performance art, the artists are kind of okay. We have seen everything, kind of, and then the circus field now it's the people have this feeling or thought of we can do everything now. So it's how do you say? It's kind of it's how do you say? Sorry, like I think the development you have seen in the dance scene, it came a lot came
Earlier.
later, really late, like in the 80s. So and now the art, the circus art is evolving and transforming a lot.
So it's, I mean, you have an access to all this knowledge from the dance and all these other art forms or visual arts that already did this. So even if you do it now, it's still kind of informed by this knowledge, I imagine.
Me personally,
No, I mean,
the-
let's say hypothetical circus person who wants to break out from the, you know, the old ways.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because like the circus art always had mixed up all different forms, all different performing arts. Like circus always was a combination of technique, of dance and theater, like spoken theater. Also music. No, also the traditional circus was a big mixture. But right now I think it's more. Sure, a lot of circus artists, and me included, are now defining themselves about mixing like art forms, but also about like trying to experiment with different dramaturgies and different scenographic approaches, and this is thing. I think this is new. This you couldn't have seen in the circus field in the 80s.
Can you explain to me a little bit what a dramaturgy is and how is it different from just, let's say, putting music and dance and movement and trick together?
Yeah.
Let's say the old way, and how would be like the new dramaturgy? What does it mean?
I think in the circus meaning, it means that you going away from this. The climax is a trick, like you. Normally in the circus, it was always like the performance, and you are developing something, and in the end, you had the trick, the big trick, or the best trick, let's say. And it was always, and it still is kind of, or sometimes still this, for me, this approach of creating a performance with characters and not to be like a personal person on stage, and to have this, how to say, this this pressure to entertain, even if it's not this old entertainment big stuff. It's still this this attempt to make performances which are, how do you say, pleasant, like which are like, which are for all audience, like family, older people, younger people. And this is now shifting a little bit, and the people are trying to experiment with new dramaturgies, with new approaches, and trying to tell more personal stories, I would say.
So let's say the traditional way would be, okay, there's the climax, so there is a build up to something, and then there is this best of the best of the best abilities of a performer. But nowadays, this can also come earlier or not come. And before, it used to be that the circus is for everyone. It's accessible. It's let's say family friendly because it doesn't contain. It's, I don't know. I have the feeling that it was just about entertainment, right, as you say. But now you can put some more meaning into it. Is it correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the string in the circus art I'm interested in, and I'm experimenting a lot now with this because, like I said before, I'm still interested in technique and also in these old elements of circus. For example, the trick. I think it's a good example. I really like the trick, but I don't like to create a performance and to show that I am able to do 5 balls or a handstand or whatever, because I mean, sure, it can be nice to see it, and I also enjoy it from time to time. But I think there can be more, and for the people, it's not so satisfying, I think, to just seeing the technique. But it's nice to question what else can you do with the trick. No, I mean, you can use a trick, but transform it and tell something about the trick without being very impressive and virtuous.
So it's like watching a Marvel movie or watching, I don't know, let me think of a nice director that makes very smart movies. I'm really into blockbusters recently. But let's say watching Shining versus watching Endgame. It's a different experience.
I don't know the movies, but maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So could you tell me a little bit, maybe personally a little bit, what being a circus artist or being involved in the circus field gives to you? So I'm wondering, like, because I know from my own experience that it's a lot of hardship, it's a lot of sacrifice often, it's a lot of hard training to be active, it's a lot of accepting of difficult living conditions sometimes. But I wonder, what is for you the beauty personally in circus? Why do you keep doing it? And also, maybe what are the difficult sides of it? And also, how do you overcome them? So So what is your personal take?
First of all, I have to say that I'm not only doing circus. I'm also doing. I mean, my own performances are a combination of dance, performance, circus, but from time to time I'm also working in photography and video. But sure, mainly I work with circus. And like I said before, I really like last year I did a performance about my own circus history, and I deconstructed for me everything, also my old juggling clubs, but also all this idea of presenting the tricks and then I thought I will not do circus anymore. I mean, I could have imagined to curate anymore and to work as a dramaturg, but not doing own pieces with circus elements. But now it shifted a little bit because I've done another piece with circus and about circus, and now I'm really interested and motivated to create other performances about circus and to question this circus techniques because it's a lot of fun. Right now I'm working I just worked with a dance artist, and it was a pleasure to combine circus elements and dance elements and to really deeply question myself. How can I transform the circus techniques? This thrives me right now.
So I know about the companies like XY or
Yeah.
Seven Fingers.
Yeah.
So there's are the notable examples of
Yeah,
companies
yeah,
that,
yeah,
that
yeah.
work on the border of circus and dance.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I mean, besides that there has been this certain development in thinking, but like what you as a circus artist can learn from dancing and vice versa, and maybe what can you learn from other arts in general. So it could be visual arts or film or anything. So what is inspiring,
A lot.
or maybe what is missing also, because
Yeah.
maybe there's something that is there and it's not here, and you can
Yeah. And do you mean missing in the circus?
perhaps that's a
Okay,
hypothesis.
Yeah, actually, for me, there's not so much missing because I have so much to develop and to dive into because I really like to combine all this performance arts. But in the dance example, it's for me, it's yeah. I mean, circus art is very it's a work with the body and dance also. So it's nice to combine it. And the circus for me, it's more working in with height. If, for example, if you have a two-person height, you have one person standing on the shoulder, or if you have hand-to-hand, or even if you juggle, you have to use the height. And this is one thing for me was not so present in dance, working with dance people, artists. And now I really enjoy it to combine it, like to think dance, dance choreographies or movements, in to rethink it and to bring it up, like really, say it, to keep it simple. This is one thing I am really interested now in. And on the other hand, I work a lot with fine arts right now. I made some installations, and my last performance had a lot of installations. There have been some installations from old clubs and the video installation, and I presented the video installation, only the video installation, in some festivals. So it's coming very naturally now, and they are opening up some doors, which is very funny because I started with circus and only being on stage, but now but I always did photography also, and this is now combining it a little bit. A lot of things to develop.
Yeah, to say about this verticality of circus, I have to say that I also very attracted, like as a dance maker, like very attracted to actually, not just build sideways, but also to build upwards. And I think then of course it becomes dangerous. So once it becomes dangerous, then it's kind of becomes circusy in a way, because suddenly you need an extra skill that is not just your dance technique, but now you need a skill that is a certain kind of trick, which is like a trick of not falling down, for instance.
Yeah.
So that is also very impressive, I guess, from the audience point of view, because suddenly you know that there is the element of danger, and I always find that the element of danger is always, there are many, let's put it from the purely dramaturgical perspective, there are many different strategies you can capture the audience attention, and definitely danger is one of them that works very well, because suddenly if you see danger, people stop sleeping and they start to pay attention.
Sure.
So there's a big advantage of circus, for example, versus dance, which is like you have this like trick up your sleeve where you can say, oh, it's dangerous, someone can die. Okay, let's pay attention how they not die, because they're so good at what they're doing. But coming to the other thing that you're doing with the visual arts, I'm wondering, like, okay, so you say you've always been interested, but this transition from one art form to another art form, is it possible? Do you think like there are some certain skills that are universal about doing arts that transfer, or is it like, oh, you see something that you like and you have to relearn everything? Something that you like as an art discipline.
Yeah. Good question. Like when I started with circus, I've also doing photography, so I think I have kind of an approach of how do you say, of creating images, let's say. This helps you a lot, I think, to create performances also, to see the stage, to see the room, and to imagine a performance on stage. So I think you can combine these approaches. And for me, it's, I don't know. And the other things, the other combination came kind of naturally. For example, I was investigating a lot the combination juggling and dance, and this came very naturally because when I started juggling, I was just standing on one place, and I was just juggling. But some years later, the body wanted to move, no, and I wanted to make other tricks, which I only could do when I moved. So then I started to take dance classes and to watch dance pieces. Then a new whole world opened up. So for me now, it's always, not always, but in a lot of performances I have this basis of circus, and then I want to try to push it and to mix it radically with another art form. But I'm not like, okay, now I want to do dance, now I want to do more performance. I try to see what the piece needs and then to develop it.
But then you said that you have like a video installation, like that is without circus.
Yes and no. It is, sure, there's no circus techniques, but the installation is about people speaking about their vision of circus. So it's about circus.
So in a way, it's a deconstruction of the thing. So you take some, let's say, experience of circus and you just mediate it somewhere else. But this mediation of into other art form, for me, like, okay, I understand, like people talking, it's a bit documentary approach, isn't it? A little bit. So that maybe, how to say, it requires a certain craft, but it's not like the same as, like, you know, just doing like a Dan Flavin installation or some like big contemporary gallery installation. Like it's still a bit different if you do like portraits in the room versus like if you would really actually like shape the room. And I wonder, if you wanted just purely make an installation of like one material, like no video, but just like I don't know, sticks in space. I don't know.
Yeah, yes,
I
yes,
wonder if you could take something that you learned from Circus and if you could use it to create it, or you have to learn everything from the beginning.
Maybe to explain it this way, when I start a new creation for performance, I throw everything in the room. It could be like really performance, could be visual art, could be anything, music. I also have a musician. And then I try to see and to find what the piece needs. And sure, for example, the video work, I just learned it like 3 years ago. I started to work with video. I just learned it and then I incorporated in the performance. And other things are involving. For example, the club installation. It was like, okay, we wanted to, or I wanted to rethink my own juggling technique, and then I don't know why, but I just hang some stuff up in the studio and I try to juggle with old clubs hanging on strings. Then another juggling technique evolved. So to answer your question, I think some things I really have to learn and I want to learn, and other things came up naturally.
Like in a way of evolution also
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah. I also like what I find also in every creation process that I do, like, and I really try to keep it as a principle, otherwise it's really boring. So to like whatever, for me, whatever I do, like I always try to learn something new for myself, like when creating a new thing. So for example, like in one piece I had to learn like a better breakdance technique.
Okay.
In their piece I had to learn how to breathe to the microphone. In another piece I had to learn, I don't know, handstand for a very long time. So there is this I don't know, curiosity, and I think, yeah, as I always think that creative profession like this, like performance, creating performances, it's such a beautiful thing. Like there are a lot of hardships, but you can really decide what it gives back to you because you have a control of it. So you can really evolve yourself as a person from doing it, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Also getting bored very fast, so for me, I really have to learn new things regularly.
Same
And
story.
it's so nice not to work with different artists. I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine just to work in the theater field. It's nice, but I will get bored.
Yeah. Good. That's nice to hear. And speaking of getting bored, I wonder what role in your life as a circus involved person plays the new digital world. So
Oh,
do you
okay.
use it? Do you integrate it? Do you ignore it? Do you transform it?
Yeah, I use it for sure. I think it's not possible to not use it in the corona situation, but I really try to 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 draw a border, not to not to not to do it too much.
Why?
Why? I don't know, because I really like this, like we said, no, this exchange between artists, between artists and audiences, and I don't know. Sure, from time to time you have to deal with this digital stuff, and I also like it because I learned a lot, and we made a live stream of my last performance in book performing arts, and it was a huge success because we had a nice live stream, I think, and we had a lot of audience from all over the world, so that was nice. But on the other hand, it's sure you have to spend a lot of time to think about these technical stuff. And I'm not so interested in technical stuff. It's really like also when I did photography,
Mm-hmm.
I was not so super good in this technical stuff. I don't know. I don't have this. I don't have this. How do you say this approach to be nerdy in technical stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I can do it in performance or maybe in writing, but in technical stuff, no, I don't like it. And then I don't know. I've seen some very good performances, like live streamed in the lockdown. But I also think that we all like throw a lot of stuff in the internet, and I was really like, on one day I can't consume it anymore. I was
It's like a
really
big trash can, internet
yeah
of the world. Like every idea, bad, good, horrible, boring, nothing,
yeah
everything, beautiful content, ugly content, all is there
yeah and
mixed together.
yeah, absolutely. And I also think it's still missing a kind of an how to say a kind of an idea how to pay this work, how to communicate, how to contribute. Because I also like we did some short movies. I got some questions of if I want to do some work for the internet videos, and but it was not like it was. Sometimes it was not well paid. Sometimes it was the communication was really I don't know. And then yeah, like we said, I think you really have to think where do you want to put it in the internet or and how to communicate. If you just put it, and I have the feeling we all did it kind of,
Mhm.
or from time to time, it doesn't work
Why?
because I don't know. The day has 24 hours, or and we have a life and maybe family and yeah, so you have to concentrate on some stuff,
Yeah.
don't you think? Or
Yeah, I think like also find it hard to watch live streams. I find it easy to watch YouTube. So there are some I find it hard to watch, for example, Instagram, but I know people who find it easy to watch Instagram all the time. So I think I don't know what it is about artistic live streams that is so kind of detached, a little bit detached comparing to the YouTube content, which is someone directly talking with you, like, and kind of, it's almost like, I almost feel like often the people on YouTube, they try to empathize with the audience, whereas if the artists make a beautiful artwork and you don't have it, you don't see it live, then once it gets mediated to video, then I think there is not so much focus, like you said, not so much thought put in this, like communication with the audience aspect, because suddenly the work is kind of like you're watching a recording of a work that is communicate with audience that is not there in the room at the moment, but not with you on the screen. I don't know if it makes any sense.
yeah, absolutely.
And I find it like sometimes I would see something beautiful, but mostly I have to be honest, I would choose either a YouTube or a nice movie to watch, which is maybe a pity, because like I myself also was or am very interested in the curating and very interested in discovering like new, beautiful dance works, but and it's great that you can actually see it on internet from all over the world. It's great. You can see it all, but when when?
And I also think the funny thing is, for me, and 2 months ago, I recognized that I have seen a lot of performances from all over the world via Vimeo or YouTube. But like 95% of the performances have been from Europe. And it was, I don't know why, because now we had the chance to see a lot of performances from all over the world, but 95% I have seen came from Europe. I mean, I think it's also because most of the people I know are from Europe, but I was really wondering why I haven't seen, for example, I don't know, I would say anything like the dance festival from Buenos Aires. Why not? But I think interesting and funny. Like the internet is open and you can see everything, but on the other hand, we are kind of
Yeah, we are in our own bubbles, right?
yeah,
It's always like this idea of echo chambers where it's just, you know, operate within your own,
yeah,
curated by the algorithm,
yeah,
also
yeah,
this your own curated little space.
yeah.
Yeah, there is this. Yeah, also when I think about it, but also there is like if you see something from a very different culture, then of course it's very different, and sometimes it's not so accessible. Sometimes you consider it outdated. Sometimes it's too progressive. Mostly it's dated, but mostly it's just you cannot just understand it because you don't have the tools, you don't have the cultural knowledge to actually digest it. I would say, at
Yeah,
least
but
with dance, it's like
yeah,
this. I don't know how it is with
okay.
circus.
But I also think there are like dance or performance theater festivals in, for example, in South America or in North America, which present a lot of work we are used to here also, like like yeah, like normal theater festivals. But yeah, I don't know. I just recognize that it's not like okay, I am also seeing this. I really concentrated on this European internet stuff, and I really would like to like work on it. I'd like to use the internet in a more clever way, but I don't know. I don't find the time actually.
Yeah, time is a big. Yeah, the internet is a big vacuum for time. Let's put it like this. Okay, I'm interested. Speaking of curating, speaking of festival, you just had a great festival, great Circus festival in Vienna, which sounds already very special because there are no many great circus festivals in Vienna. Can you tell me a little bit about the experience and how did you, how did you come up with this idea and
Yeah, yeah.
how did it work out?
Yeah, actually, it's the only circus festival in Vienna. um, yeah, like I moved to Vienna 11 years ago, and I always wanted to create a circus festival. Me and my colleague Alena Krosch, we are working together. We are curating the festival together. And in the beginning, also with my own work, it was really like if we came up with the idea of circus, if we wanted to present our own work and to establish this festival, it was really like, okay, nobody opened the door, and everyone thought it was like, okay, the clowns are coming, and it was really hard to do anything in
So
us.
why the clowns are coming? Like, can you explain why they thought that the clowns are coming?
Yeah, because this image of circus and clowns are still there, no? Still present, and it's really hard to, yeah, to exchange this picture with something new and contemporary. Yeah, but it was the same in France in the 80s or in Germany in the beginning of the 21st century. And there's still a lot to do. There's still a long way to go, I would say. But yeah, to keep it short, then more and more people have been interested in supporting our work and to present our performances and our work in Vienna and in Austria. It's still hard, but now some doors are opening. And in 2019, Esther Holland-Merten, the artistic director from Vogue Performing Arts, invited my last performance, Fallhöhe, and she was interested in getting to know a little bit more about circus art, and then she had the idea to make kind of a mini festival of an tryout weekend. So we invited 3 other companies from Switzerland and Germany and Austria. And so we had a little festival in January 2019. And that was a great success. and then we decided to go on and to make a real festival. And the first edition should have been in November 2020. And 1 week before the lockdown, we had to cancel everything. Then we continued to work for this year's festival. And yeah, in November, just 3 weeks ago, we had the first edition of On the Edge. The festival is called On the Edge Festival for Experimental Circus. And we had different performances, we had exhibitions, we had public and audience and artist talks, we had a big party, and yeah, it was nice to finally show experimental circus approaches in Vienna. We had some artists from Vienna and from Austria, but also from Sweden and from France and Belgium. So finally we could realize our festival. That was nice.
Okay, tell me a little bit about you say experimental circus. What could we have seen in the festival? What exactly works have you curated, and how was the process of curating?
The process of curating is Elena and me. We are traveling. We are watching pieces and performances. We are trying to accompany artists over years. If they have good ideas and if we find some works interesting, we're trying to really accompany the artist. And we are trying to find performances which are questioning circus, which are really combining mostly circus arts with performances and fine arts. And we are trying to, we're also trying to support women, of course, like, or diverse identity, how do you say, like people with diverse identities. And we are trying to bring performances to Vienna which can be read as circus but also as other art. So this is also the reason we call it the festival on the edge. It's a little bit on the border of everything. But for us, it's nice to support artists who are really, really thinking about their practice and about their techniques, about their circus techniques. And for example, we had one performance from France, on Le Polom. They are working really strongly in this field of dance circus. We had a lecture performance from Sweden. They are doing the exercises, and you got a lot of audio and video information about their history of partner acrobatics. We had Julian Vogel from Switzerland. He's working in the field of fine arts. He deconstructed his old Diablos. Diablos are this thing normally the people know from kindergarten. It was this string and this rolling thing.
It's like a yo-yo, but a bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. And he deconstructed his yo-yos, his Diablos, and made a work between fine art and performance. The same with Anne Kugener and Maya Franke and Ralf Oellinger from Vienna. They are now questioning the different roles, also gender roles in their circus practice. And Katrin Wagner from Berlin was here in Vienna, and she is also questioning her own role as a performer. And she's like deconstructing a little bit this, juggling. Let's say juggling. So we have a wide range of different approaches, and this is important for me to show that circus can be a lot. It's not pure entertainment. It's not only circus art, which now is getting another art form. It's really an own art form, but it can have a part. It can be a part of a international festival
Scene.
Yes, thank you.
So I thought it was called On the Edge because it was just before the lockdown. Because you actually said that the other one was cancelled because of the lockdown. but now you just managed to pull the festival off just like a week before lockdown. So congratulations for that.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very lucky. Could you tell me, okay, so we have those different performances from all around the world, questioning their identities in circus, and then the audience enters, probably expecting clowns, as you said before. So how do they react? Or how?
Yeah, that's funny.
Who is your audience?
Yeah,
also?
it's really interesting and it's really nice. I really like that because like 85% I would say of the audience, I'm at least this year's festival edition, nobody has known. Like me and my colleague and Esther, we didn't know the people, so we have no idea where they came from. But for me, it's super nice. Like not only working in the bubble and like the normal performance art scene.
Where we all watch each other.
Yeah, sure, and that's important and that's nice. But it's also cool to have new people in the audience. And there are people who are, I think, there are people who are expecting more circus, more circusy stuff. And the other people, I have no idea what they're expecting. And it's really, yeah, a nice audience. And I really hope that this is going on, this works.
So
in the
that they
future.
come back.
That they come back, yeah.
So, but then did you hear any reactions from them? Like, because say people that you know, of course, but people that you don't know, did you talk with them?
Yeah.
What was their experience?
Yeah. I really try to speak with the people to get an impression, no, what is working, what is not working. Not everything is working. Yeah, many people have been kind of, I would say, positively shocked. Really, okay, this could be circus. And this is nice for me. This is nice because, yeah, then we really can how do you say really can what do you say create another image of circus and to
Rebrand the circus a little bit.
rebrand. Or it's also like everyone has an image of circus, everyone, even if you have never been in the circus, even if you have never seen a performance, everyone has a image of circus, I would say.
Certain image for sure, absolutely, yes.
Certain image.
Like in Poland, we have an expression like you're doing circus now, which is not a nice expression. If you can say to the child that does something, weird.
Like in German, was ein Zirkus.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
But already this is an image of circus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's nice to work a little bit on this, that the people get a new impression of circus.
Mm-hmm. And we always ask this question. So you had the audience. What would be your strategy to bring even more people in? If you wanted to have 10 times more people, what would you do? How would you go about gathering a bigger crowd?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm really bad at audience development and I'm really bad at press stuff and all these things.
Yeah, but maybe it's a very conventional way of looking at it, press stuff and things. Maybe there are other ways that we can use, other strategies that we can use that we are actually good at.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you as an artist or art maker or festival creator or curator would think of something you could do, what would you do to attract more people?
Yeah. I mean, I think the most important thing is to have a nice program, to have an interesting festival. I mean, if I'm traveling to a festival, I'm also looking, okay, what is interesting? And this is not easy because for sure we also have a very own approach of curating. We have an own approach or an own, how to say, a very certain taste, let's say. But on the other hand, I think you also have to look a little bit that there are certain strings or certain points in the program which doesn't have to be interesting or doesn't have to fit for everyone, like Circus had done before. But I think a little to look a little bit that there are different different approaches. So like that different people can enjoy the festival, let's say.
So there is something for everyone, but not in every performance.
I wouldn't say that there's something for everyone, but there are, let's say like this, there are performances who are working for people who have never seen an experimental circus performance, and there are performances for people who have seen like, like the most experimental stuff.
The connoisseurs.
Yeah. So, and this is for me interesting, and I think it is working, but I'm also trying to develop it a little bit. And on the other hand, I really now I'm trying to work a lot on this. How do you say, nach außen Kommunikation, like how to communicate the festival. And for example,
Dissemination work.
Yeah, thank you. For me, it's always very important. For example, I don't know if you go to Impulstanz or Festwochen. I really love those festivals, and I always love it when the text is, because you have a brochure with like 100 performances, and for me the text has to be like some sentences and has to not to say everything, but it has to be clear what it is about, more or less. I really like that, and I think this is important for an audience development. Not even if the performance is really experimental, I think we have to take care that we communicate it in a good way to invite the people and not to scare the people.
Yeah, I always find like speaking of Impulstanz, like a great festival, of course, many years, but there's also a lot of this kind of artist written text that I just like. I like that very down-to-earth approach, and sometimes some texts are very sophisticated and exclusive. So maybe sometimes the artworks. So maybe it's good if the text is exclusive and then the artwork is as well exclusive. So I know what it is, but I also do appreciate if there's like attention put on the text where I can really know what to expect. So for example, if I go to a movie, if I go to see a movie on Netflix, probably I can read a little sentences what is going on in the movie, like first few scenes, and that is really good. And I think this is how most of people operate nowadays. Like they get a little bit of information and then they make a decision based on that. So I think it's good you pointed out like a proper communication is a big part of attracting your audience.
Yeah, I mean there's a reason the artists are doing performance and not writing. No, if they could express everything right.
What were we talking about? Like the
communication and that artists are performers and not writers, because if they have been writers, they could have
choose writing, right?
Writing, yeah.
Yeah, I always thought so. Like I always thought like, oh look, I want to do dance because I don't want to do writing. I don't want to do talking. But then in the end, like this whole profession is like based on writing and talking. So I don't know in the end.
But do you find it hard to describe your pieces?
Do I find it hard? No, I don't find it hard. I just find it annoying to actually have to do that.
Okay.
So it's like over the years, I've been, because of the practice of doing it over and over and over and over again, like I develop a skill of writing, yes. But I still don't like it. I can do it, or I still don't like it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But yeah. So tell me about a festival. What does it take to create a festival? What is important? If I wanted to create a festival tomorrow, or like in the next year, let's say, what do I have to think about, and what will be the pitholes that I will fall into and not realize that they are even there? And yeah, cool. Exactly. What can you learn? What can you teach me about making a festival?
Yeah. I mean, I have not done so many festivals, maybe like 4 or 5, and curating a little bit for other festivals. But doing my own festival, I think it's a combination of convince people. I think this is maybe the most important part, really. And we have been working years and years of convincing people. And on the other hand, I also think it's a little bit about having luck or the right timing. And I had the feeling that now we had a little bit. I mean, we had luck with this really great team of performing arts. They are great and they really are motivated to establish a festival like this. And this is a jackpot. But I also have the feeling that now it's kind of it's getting time for Circus Festival in Vienna. And yeah, we realized that in the last years, slowly we got some more funding. Before we only got funding in abroad, and now we're also getting funding in Austria, and we're getting some invitations to perform or to direct or things like this. And so we had the feeling that it could be time for a festival. So I think it's a combination of some things. And yeah, it's for me, it's still convince people of supporting this festival. It's not only funders. To really to be passionate about creating a circus. For me, it's really a hard project, let's say, besides my own projects. I really love it, and I'm really putting a lot of it, putting a lot into it. I really love the idea to accompany the artist to travel and to visit them, to visit rehearsal processes, to see their final performances, or not. Maybe it's not even finalized, but to see ideas artists have and to support them and then to invite them. I think this is really nice, and this for me creates kind of an how to say, like a passionate festival or a passionate approach of creating a festival, but not only to invite finalized performances who are touring. I mean, this is also nice, and we're also doing it, but also to give spaces to the people who have nice ideas and just to trust them. That's for me. This is also creating a festival.
Right. Yeah, I had like we were doing for a year this craft choreography festival in little. I mean, I wouldn't call it a festival. It's more like a performance platform in Brick 5 before COVID. And I have to say like the same thing. Like it's really nice to just be able to give space. I think this is really to just accommodate people and just to take care that they feel good. And I think this in itself is already a very nice, I think, benefit of making any kind of work like this. It's like being a host in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think in dance there are more spaces needed, or?
There are always more spaces needed because there are so many people graduating from universities, which are countless universities. But I don't know. I'm sure, like, you know, a position of dance is definitely, especially in Austria, is higher than a position of circus. So I don't want to complain or anything. But yes, of course, we always wish about having more spaces and having more, you know, communities, like places where we can cultivate communities of people that will fall in love with the art and in consequence, I don't know, have a little bit better life experience and also make our experience better. It's a win-win, and I think space is it's a bit of a foundation of anything in a way, in this way, because without a space, what do you do? Like you cannot do it in a living room. But yeah, there is I think from being able to create a platform, I think it gives a lot back. But I guess it's really hard. Like, what were the hardest things that you had to overcome, except of convincing people? Let's put it like this. Because this we know. This we know. This we all know. It's okay. We need money. We need space. Okay, go away from here. But But apart from this,
Phew, that was the hardest part.
yeah,
But
definitely.
it still is because we don't have a running
Fund.
funding. We have to apply every year. Good question. I'm not sure.
So maybe
There's-
everything is easy then.
No. There's so many obstacles. Yeah, maybe one thing, like we only have kind of one stage, and if we want to realize a festival of 7 days, we really have to think very in details. How do we use the space? Because we don't have like 3 or 4 theaters, we only have one, which is really great. The team is great, the building is great, everything, but you have to think it very well how to
manage.
every. I mean, we had like 4, 5, I don't know, 8 performances in one venue in 7 days. So you really have to think about how to put this into it. Yeah, and besides, I think it's a communication also. I find it quite interesting, but also hard to find a good way of communicate to the people, to the audience, what your festival is, what makes it unique, what makes it worth, or what could be the reason the people go there. Because I don't take it as granted that people are reading, okay, that's a festival, I want to go there. Because there are a lot of stuff going on in Vienna. It's nice, it's a theater town, but it's not easy, and it's getting harder now in Corona, I think, to get the people, to bring the people to the theater. And I'm really thinking a lot about this, how to manage it. I mean, I'm happy that a lot of people came. It was nice. Yeah, but I think we should think about it.
Yeah. So if you wanted to communicate your festival to me, just hypothetically, what would you say? Like, I have no idea about Circus.
I would say just come over, have a look, be open, expect Circus and don't expect Circus, but yeah, come over and you will see some performances which are dealing with Circus in a new way, which are reinventing the techniques, for example, juggling, acrobatics, but also, for example, vertical rope, all this stuff, which a lot of people know, but they don't. I think they don't know it in a more performative, experimental way. And this could be interesting, maybe for you.
Thank you. This is wonderful. Maybe some last questions to you. Could you give advice to people who are interested, whether in doing circus or watching circus or doing art or making performance or watching performance? Could you give an advice to a person who is starting from your own gathered personal experience so far?
I can try. It sounds a little bit poor or simple, but I think the most important thing is make your own thing. Don't try to be influenced too much from other artists. Sure, it's important and nice to exchange and to have people who are impressive for you. But in the end, I think it's really important to go your own way. And if you go your own way, you will be very authentically, and this will be interesting for, I don't know, for everyone, for the audience, for festival programmers, for, yeah. I think I know it sounds very kind of cheap, but I think this is the hardest part, but also this is worth working on it. Don't you think?
I don't think anything. I think this is your your advice. I think I always believe it's always important to stay true to yourself, whatever you're doing. Otherwise, you're gonna suffer pretending that you're something that you're not, right? Or maybe some people don't suffer. Maybe some people are very comfortable with pretending that there are some other people. I mean, there's a whole profession dedicated to that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Like, I think for me as a maker, I also find it important to stay true. And can you tell me like an advice, something that people can learn from Circus? People who maybe don't make, don't do it, but something that is like a little piece of wisdom that Circus has taught you along the way.
I mean, speaking of the circus techniques, I really think it's learning of endurance, learning of how to say, of not giving up. No, because if you want to learn a handstand or juggle, you really have to you really have to be kind of chill, because you have to stick on it and you have to be a little bit nerdy. But I think it helps. For me, it helped, no, to not give it up very fast and to work on it.
And you apply to the other aspects of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much for this conversation, Arne.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.